Morning, everyone. Let's start with an acknowledgement of country. Let's start that way and then I'll. So I just wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and internationally, and recognise their continuing connection to country, culture, community, land, sea and sky. And I wish to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. So I think what we'll do is, one of the things I wanted to show you was another segment. So Gail saw I've been talking to Canada. I did an interview both with the head community and Brett, and I thought you might like to see a segment of that. I'm sure I shared on your Facebook what we looked at last time in the community group, but I'm going to show you a different segment. It's about 12 minutes long, with talking about what that experience, what's been happening in Marathon and the challenges they've been having, or where they're thinking of growth and things like that. I thought you'd enjoy that, but that will save some time if I just give you that as homework. But what I think is, the key things I wanted to talk to you about was, BIM wanted to do some CRM stuff with you, but I wanted to talk to you about storage of documents and the surveys. So I'll start with the surveys. So the surveys extra gift for you pilot group this year. They'll be charged for next year if you go for the full set of the surveys. But in the interim, what I'm going to give you so you can do your check-ins is some 2 or 3 key questions that I want you to ask, and we'll put it into the CRM so you can collect data, and that will help you be proving impact. And so I'll take the juiciest of them, and I'll get Jacob to put them into the CRM for you. It'll be a longer wait for the full surveys, and that may not be appropriate for all of you. For Gail, for you, it might be a bit too soon. And again, you might be lucky and you can wait till next year and then it's all sorted out. But there's lots of linking that will have to happen. And Harley, you already have those surveys happening we just need to tweak the Western District Health Service ones to add a little bit more community connector in there, and you've pretty much got that. But when you start standing alone, which hopefully that will happen, you'll need to move over to this set. So that's what's happening with the surveys. Sorry, it's like another major project, and BIM, Jacob and I are all needing to have a little lie down after actually just getting the CRM up. The thought of another major project right now is really, and I don't think it's absolutely desperate for you to have a full program. I should get that to you this month. In terms of data storage, again, that's another area that we will probably eventually give you a portal that you can come in and find everything and do searching. There's a tool called Searchy that would allow you to go, I don't know, search for any retention and find all the things that have ever been said about retention, plus a transcript, plus the resource. It's a really cool tool, but we're not there yet. So in the interim, we've decided to give you a Dropbox with some of these folders, because Facebook, it's okay, but as we get more resources, you won't be able to find things. So we're going to head that way just for the interim. So you're really very much the pilot group of this impact network. And as we gain in numbers, we'll get more structure around it. But I think that'll be sufficient. Has anyone got a problem with Dropbox? We think that's the easiest. We did think about Microsoft, but oh no, there's all sorts of terrible problems if you're not part of the right group, or you've got more than one group. So we've decided to go old school and just go via Dropbox. So all the videos will be there, all the resources, and we'll put them in folders as well. So it'll just be another place. They're also in Facebook. So what we're going to do is this sharing, and really we did this in the community group last time, and we split the groups. It's up to you. You can either work in twos and do this exercise separately, or we can do it all together. So tell me which you would prefer. Perhaps let's go around. Gail, do you want to tell me if you have a preference? Or actually just throw in chat what your preference is. So 2, it's all. All right. And Kate, can you just tell me what time you have to go?
Hi, sorry, I had a disaster then.
That's right. It's a disaster kind of day. Ben's having one too.
Okay. I've just texted them to see if I can come in later, so I should be fine. But I'll have everything on mute most of the time because I'm living with a bit of renovation today, so there's banging.
Okay. Yeah. Right, but this is the group exercise. So what I want you to do is, I think we'll go around with your greatest success. What currently is your successes that a success that you're really pleased with, and let's start on the good news, and we'll go all around. Gail, do you mind starting? Is that all right? Okay.
Sure.
But you're on the top of my screen, so it makes sense.
Great. I think two big successes for us at the moment is we had our first business sign of terms of service for our first client. So have our first client with our first account or business. So that's really exciting and all new. So that process is just starting. And the other really big success is we put an application in for some funding. And that was a pretty big process, but rewarding because it really made us hone in on the things that we need to do to be able to do the things that we need to do.
And let's just do a little bit of Q&A with Gail. Gail, can you just tell us how you got that business? What was the process to landing the fish?
Yeah, I've had a long-standing relationship with this organisation for many years. Impact Community Services is probably the largest community-based organisation in Bundaberg that covers lots of different government contracts. So they do child safety, they do Workforce Australia, they do have an alternative school and a whole heap of allied health services, GPs, all the whole thing. And they're headquartered here in Bundaberg. And I've known different people at all different levels for quite a while. So for me, it was just a matter of having the right conversations with the right people and just dropping little bits of information. And then when we joined this network, and part of our agreement with PHN was to pilot some allied health professionals who are new to the region, I knew that was one of the first places I wanted to go to. So then it was just a matter of talking to the right people to say, this is what we're doing. Do you want to be a part of it? And of course they said yes, because I'd already been, I guess, laying the foundation for probably the last 6 to 12 months on that kind of pathway. Yeah.
Okay, well done. And MOU, are you going for something like that, or what's your paperwork looking like? And
yeah,
Kate, I'm thinking particularly you might be able to assist here because this is something that Kate's group has definitely done.
We called it terms of service just because that's the type of language that they've tended to use in the past. And just really set out our role and responsibility, what their role and responsibilities were and what it looked like. And because this is that we were really upfront and honest with, this is our first time, we're doing this to see how this is going to work, and we want to benefit as much as you want to benefit from this in the long term. So let's just see how it goes. So just being really honest in that terms of service. And then that obviously went to the GM, and then we had a conversation, but they were happy with the first draft that I put to them and there was no changes.
And how did you identify price and which services are you going to provide?
Yeah, it's free. So we're offering it to them free, but knowing to them that it's the value of that. And the services that we provided are part of that. We're figuring it out. So it was really based on what is this person, how long have they been here, what do they need, and we're going to work it out as we go. Okay. So it was very loose in that regard.
And with the aim for it to be fee for service in the future?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And Kate has also had that experience too of offering something free for, it was about 6 months, wasn't it, Kate? Yeah. And hers is now, this was public health. Hers, she's now got a contract with them.
Yeah. So being really open and honest with, we're learning, we want to know what this person needs and how we're going to do that and deliver it in the timeframes and all of that. And they were really happy with that because they work in this sort of, not exactly this space, but they do pilots all the time on different stuff, so they get it.
Well done. Good work. And I just want to give a shout out. If anyone, it's always good to follow each other. Have a look what Gail's doing on LinkedIn, particularly. She's got an event that's happening in June, and she's just got amazing traction happening and really activating her community. And I just put it for what I put collaboration eyes on it, and I just like, oh, well done. You're doing really good foundational work there, Gail. Yeah, have a look what she's doing. Have a look at the comments. Yeah, really. So is that under the welcome? Sorry, is it under welcome to Bundaberg? Is that the?
Yeah. And the reason that we can do this is because we partnered with the Neighbourhood Centre, who received the funding to help reduce waitlists in Bundaberg. And they came to us and said, we want to partner with you to actually activate this in our communities. For us to be able to be paid to do that, to help us achieve what we want to achieve anyway, is the key thing for us, because in the past, we've always tended to do those things because it was what we wanted for our community, and we've never really been paid for it before. So to be able to get paid to create the momentum to future proof what we're trying to do anyway, just really helped.
Yeah, I think it's a really good example of a bit of seed funding and how it can help get things moving. Particularly, Carly, I'm thinking for you, a little bit of funding might really help to do some of the work. So maybe you two can definitely, Carly, watch what Gail's doing, but we can talk about it for the Southern Grampians as a possible strategy for getting struggles to get her community activated. Okay, who would like to go next? Thanks so much, Gail.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Our big success has been we've recruited a podiatrist, and right from the get-go. So I started talking with him about 12 months ago when he saw one of those petrol Bowser advertisements, but it was in Macca's, and about GPs, and rang up and said, oh, is there any call for podiatry in Glen Innes? And I said, yes. Anyway, so I've been working with him and his family all that time. They are helping them buy a house, helping them settle in socially, and then this first 6 months of the year helping him find business premises and just giving him a bit of guidance with all the bits and pieces, and also other avenues apart from private practice of where he could. And he opened his doors to his rooms at the end of May. So yeah, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, well done, because podiatry it has all the problems of allied health, but it has some extra ones. There's not enough. There isn't actually enough trained. So the pipeline is not sufficient, and they become rare as hens feet. Well done. And is it a partner couple? I was just looking at your socials as well.
He's the podiatrist and she's a teacher, and she's actually, I'm going to talk to her again, but when I spoke to her at the start of the year, she was thinking of, initially she wasn't going to go back teaching. She was going to help her husband with the business, but when I last spoke to her, she was thinking about going back to teaching, I think, even if it's part-time. Yeah.
Okay. And some nice socials that Track Connect Day Glen is promoting on this story. So well done for that. I'm following that. And it made me smile. Congratulations. Does that help the elderly and all the diabetics to have a better life? Absolutely, that there's a podiatrist in the town. It's a really big one for quality of life. So well done. Carly.
Hello.
Hello.
I guess for me right now, it would be the fact that my contract's been renewed. I think that's probably a success.
It is.
It is, because we've had a change of CEO. So the CEO who was part of the implementation of the program moved on, and you never really know what will come with a new one. But actually, the new CEO is fantastic and very supportive.
And it had to go to board, yeah? It had to get...
It did.
It did. It had to go to board.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Oh, sorry. It may have had to go to exec.
I think it went to exec. I don't think it went to board, because I think it's not Monetary wise, I don't think they need to go to.
And what was the good news about your contract? What were the improvements in your contract?
I'm getting more hours, which is from 16 hours per week to 30, which will be a massive help, even if it's just mentally. And I've also had another location added to my sort of my settlement area. At the moment, WDHS has 2 satellite hospitals, which is Penshurst and Coleraine, which I do settle people for. But we then have a hospital that is in the infancy of amalgamating with us from Casterton, which is a bit further out, still part of our region. So I'm actually quite excited because I'm not hugely familiar with Casterton, which I know probably sounds a little alarming if I'm supposed to be settling people there. However, I have lots of friends from Casterton and I'm looking forward to going out there. I've met quite a few people from the hospital. I went to an expo and they were there with us, and I'm keen to go and spend some time with them. There won't be a huge amount because it's quite small. There won't be a huge amount coming in anyway. And I think for them as well, they will need access to Hamilton. It's our biggest town, and that I can give them a lot of advice on. And obviously with Casterton, it doesn't take you long to pick up the ins and outs of the locals. But yes, that's really great news. And I think for me, I pretty much spent, I would say, 9 of my 12 months not really knowing if it was valuable, the service that I was providing. And then suddenly I feel like I've woken up and gone, oh, wow, this is amazing. So I think that's been a big success in the fact that I actually want the contract renewed, because I think it's, for me, in the way that our program's structured, I just have the one client, as you all know, and there is not necessarily a sense of team. I feel very much like I'm on the outer, if that makes sense, without sounding dramatic. You just don't feel like so to have that feedback and have them say how they're so pleased that I'm there and that I'm valued was really massive.
Yeah, and I was involved in, both Carly and I were involved in this contracting, and this really helped to have establishing the Community Connector program. And I just sent her manager all the things saying this is the minimum hours that this will work on. I also said you'll lose her if you don't, and if you lose her, you've lost the program. So Carly is the program at this point in time. And I think so it was very good for Carly because I think it has been really challenging in her side. But it was really good to go in there and do the good fight and go. And I think this is when it helps that we've now got policies or processes or minimum amounts. There's ask when you're contracting, and Gail did for her grant as well, when you're writing things, and it happened with Margot, Karen, when you were doing the welcome experience. It helps to actually use, we've done some good work here about how many hours it costs to do that, and I sent Carly's manager all those things. And between her and I, and the fact that he can't see anyone else in the role, it was really good for Carly, and it's really nice to see her job satisfaction pick up. Sometimes it can be a bit lonely that first when you're out there trying to explain something, but not everyone gets yet till they get it, and that's what happens. It's a bit like, and then it lights, and then it never stops. So even if you've still got just the one client, you do have the major employer in town. So
yeah, exactly. And I think having that support gives you that sort of backing, gives you that confidence to start putting your hand up to say, okay, these are the things I've identified. And I think without that, you feel a little bit like a bit too much of a small fish. So I'll know that giving people, just saying thank you and appreciating people is an incredibly small thing to do to make a big impact. Yes. Yeah.
So just hopefully Kate will come back on in a minute. Any questions to each other? Do you want to just?
I haven't got any at the moment.
Okay. Gail, we might jump back to you, and I'll jump into Kate at some point. Your greatest challenge at the moment?
I think what I've realised is that I thought our community was a little bit further along than it actually is in terms of collaboration. We hosted an event in the middle of May, and at that event, the level that I expected from the people in the room wasn't there. They were all the way back at the start of working together and looking at each other and supporting each other. I've seen this work in many other sectors, but in this particular sector around health, they were very much still, we're competitors, we can't work together. So not everyone, but a big proportion of the room was still way back over here. And for us, in terms of an organisation coming in, we want to help you do the things that you're trying to achieve. They're a little bit on the back foot of what's in it for you. They're looking at it from a different perspective. And so I can see that as a challenge moving forward, particularly we're running a pilot, so it's free at the moment. So they've all got their blinkers on of, okay, at some point you're going to ask me for money. There's just a little bit of, trust. Yeah.
Or lack of it.
Lack of it. Yes. I felt as though I went in thinking they were a little bit further along than they actually are. We had to take a step back, and that's why with this next we're doing a little bit more trusting stuff to help move them through those stages to where we would like them to be with each other as well as with us. That's a fairly big challenge when originally I thought I would just be able to walk in like I did with Impact and go, hey, this, yes. So they're not all like that.
Yeah. And I suppose some of the things I say here is you don't need everyone. You need a few good ones who get it, that there isn't an underlying agenda, that, yeah, you will ask for fees eventually, but because they'll think it's a valuable program and that we're always transparent about that it'll be a mixture. But it is actually, and how much work, I think healthcare is sometimes the worst of the lot in terms of this trusting. And because they're all a bit poor, it's that nothing's making a lot of money and sometimes it's actually losing money. They're always very guarded, and even if there's a history of working collaboratively, this seems to take, I would go on average 2 years. It always seems to take that long. So it doesn't surprise me that you're there. It can look, it's when you get down to, can we make this, what's the next step, and will you actually work with us on this? And it's not there yet. I've got some sites that have been in the ready stage for 3 years and they're still going. They're ready, but not quite. They can't quite make the leap. And it's interesting, that's the first paper the Attract Next Day research team is going to be writing. I now think I approached you, most of you, for, if you weren't already a site, Karen, you were already a site. We've added a couple of additional sites. Harley, yours has come on as a site, and so has Gail's. For what is readiness, and where do I think is, I won't be calling it the magic source in an academic paper, but that is what I mean. Why is and particularly Carly, your site is very interesting to me. That we spent a lot of time trying to work out, with all politeness, what's wrong with the Southern Grampians, that they just don't seem to come together at all. It's been really challenging, isn't it, Carly? And it doesn't make any sense because nobody can, everything's place-based, sure, but nothing can be that different.
I think the only thing, and I do think it's an interesting one, you're right, because it is quite unusual, but we don't have any industry other than farming. Like, we are a farming community, 100%. So the businesses that we do have are very small. And I think the hospital is massive. Like, it's by far the biggest employer. So I think that's why getting traction with anyone else is going to take that length of time, because there's no other big employer. If there was
Except
even one,
council is.
Council is, but
I
almost forget they exist.
Yeah, I think the past CEO, his pitch to start with, this is what Troy is telling me, was upset people. Yeah. He was not respectful of their process, and so
the council could be, but yeah.
And it's a rich farming area, so
it is a very rich.
Carly's is probably the only area that I'm working in that's rich.
Yes. Very
Yeah,
well.
so this is very landed gentry parts of Victoria.
Yeah.
So we think this might be a problem.
Mm.
They actually go to Melbourne for health services.
Mhm.
And
Even
they're
I
not,
did.
and that's always a challenge in Victoria. Because of the distances, they can go to Melbourne.
Mm.
Kate, I'm going to come back to you, and then I might just. How are you going for time? Are you all right?
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Okay, that's all right. We'll flip into your success story.
Fine.
Yep.
Mine at the moment, it is a success story, but it's also quite overwhelming. So the hospital have recruited 38 families from England and Ireland to come for permanent positions. So it was like a mass recruitment with Hunter New England Health, which is like Newcastle, Tamworth, and ours. I think they recruited 120 nurses altogether, but our location got 36 to 38 families. And basically they've had the positions there accepted for about 3 months, but they've only been able to bring over one family has arrived because they didn't have the resources or the housing or anything to be able to bring them over, because just the logistics of it all. So last year, because we donated 6 months basically worth of time. They remembered that, thankfully, and they gave us the contract to organise the relocation for all the 38 families. It's realistically just myself. So yeah, I started on that 2.5 weeks ago. But the thing is, there's 38 nurses, but with their partners and children, there's 146 people to relocate to Ka'ari. Wow. And they're all coming with no furniture and no transport, and we don't have public transport. The logistics of trying to work that out and getting all the organisations and council on board to try and just everybody to be working together, and the real estates to stop fighting with each other, to be able to just basically, yeah. Anyway, so we started that, and I was really nervous in the beginning because I was like, what the hell did I sign up for? Because this is totally on me. Obviously, my committee's like, we can support you, but realistically, it's just me doing the work. Yeah, so we started. I actually went to Newcastle. I told my husband I went to Newcastle for 3 days and locked myself in a hotel room for 3 days. And I just interviewed all the families, and then I took a bath, and then I interviewed more families, and then I took another bath. And I just had to work out in my mind logistically how to do it. But I've worked out the logistics of it now, so I'm pretty happy. But the first 2 weeks I was really nauseous. So anyway, we're trying to relocate everybody by November. Yeah, but it's going to fill the hospital's full-time positions, which is good. Yeah,
and they're of mostly of Indian descent, aren't they?
Most of them, yeah, most of them are.
Carly, very similar to yours, but not. You didn't have it. Carly's hasn't had 38 arrive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But what I've been doing is just to save time, all the general information I've been doing as a group. So like information sessions as a group, all the information like documents and things that people need, I'm sending it all out as a group. And then the personalized stuff, I'm like, if they want that particular school, then I'm talking to the school about that applicant and stuff like that. But other than that, yeah, I'm doing a lot of it as a group because they all know that, and I've linked them in together on a WhatsApp group as well, so they're all starting to talk to each other. I'm saving hours and time by doing a lot of it as a group. But yeah, but I've got about like maybe 10 houses that are furnished, some near the hospital, some not, that have all agreed to do month by month short term. So most people, if a furnished property is available straight away that's permanent, then we'll put them, if the family's happy, we'll put them in there. But if not, then we're putting everybody into temporary housing for 4 to 5 weeks, and then helping them to find, and then the real estate's getting the lists. If everybody's arriving, if 10 families are arriving mid-June, then the real estate's getting a list, not of their personal information, but like need 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. So they know, all the real estates know that we need that many houses by the end of their 4 weeks, and we can start to allocate, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You will be so much part of the infrastructure, Kate, after this, that they'll never know how they did it without you.
Yes,
Um,
but the only thing that worries me is Hunter New England actually put out an ad for a medical concierge.
Oh, don't worry about that. I'm talking to them. Don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, because they've hired somebody at the hospital for the medical, which
Yeah, but again, yeah, she approached me. Yeah, don't, and she had no idea about this program or that anything had been happening in the Hunter New England area. And I said, well, it's interesting because there's 2 sites in the Hunter New England area. So let them do medical. That's not, Carly's got the same situation. Despite that, I could write papers forever about medicals, no different. And unless we have interdisciplinary healthcare and help get our rural communities to understand that we need everyone and they're all as equally important, there is always going to be this special doctor. Let them be nice, let them be. But I wouldn't think, Kate, it will. And it seemed it was a full-time job. There's 2 of them and they're full-time. I'm like, what are we talking about? How many doctors are there? Like,
they employed the woman, they advertised as full-time, which is why I didn't go for the job, because I was like, I'm so committed to my program, I'm not going to go for this job. But then they gave the job as 2 days a week in Taree, and I was like, why don't you just employ us 2 days a week? I don't get it. Like, they're giving us the contract for the nurses, but I don't understand.
because it'll be coming from some other, it's all good. If we go back to, we want people connected, welcomed, housed, loved, and a sense of belonging. How many variants we get of this, it's all good, because what is actually happening is this is becoming mainstream. This is becoming, every community needs
the hospital would not have been able
we've lost you.
They wouldn't have been able to.
Anyone else here, Kate?
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay.
You can hear me? Everybody can hear me?
Yep.
No, it's just
Yep.
me.
I wouldn't have been able to bring these nurses in if they didn't use our program. There's no, they've been trying for 3 months and they haven't been able to do it. And already we've got 10 families arriving in 3 weeks.
And did you have to do the temporary accommodation? Wow. So Carly, and this is one of the things we've worked out with Western District Health Service, that temporary accommodations are not the community connectors' responsibility.
It does. I do get involved with it, more the logistics and the strategy around. I've got 12 coming at the moment. We don't have enough houses for that. So it falls into my basket of problems. Yeah. But
we'd prefer it not to.
No.
It's about settlement, and
Exactly.
settlement is not temporary accommodation.
Correct. That should be the employer's responsibility to house them initially, and then we take on that more permanent settlement. I 100% agree with you. Yep.
Yeah. So watch out for that. It can slip in, and it's just another extra nightmare in the already challenging area of housing.
Almost doubling.
So well done, Kate. I think commiserations and well done. And there wasn't enough money to get you some more support?
They did say that I could have some admin support, but I think I've worked it all out at the moment. Yeah. There's not a huge amount. There's not a huge amount, but it's okay for the moment. The first 2 weeks, I really wanted to vomit, but I'm feeling better now.
I'm glad. So where are we at? Karen, would you like to tell us about the challenge?
Probably the main challenge at the moment is just the undervaluing of the program by the hospital and the health businesses. All the clients, all the new to area health professionals really appreciate the program and the benefits. Oh, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
you're frozen in my world.
Yeah. Oh, at least you can hear me. But the health businesses just do not appreciate it. And so I'm wondering whether it's the old psychology of something provided for free is undervalued. So it'll be interesting to see if, with all the balls that are in the air at the moment, we get to a stage where we introduce fee for service. Yeah, I really don't know how that's going to go down, but that's probably the biggest challenge. Oh, and the really interesting thing was I did a story for the Glen Innes News about the podiatrist, took the photo, wrote out the script, even gave it a title, sent it in, and it got published on the front page. But they'd added in that the Attract Connect Stay program was an initiative by Glen Innes Council to attract health professionals to the area, and how wonderful Glen Innes Council was for doing this. I was spewing. I was ropeable. They didn't even contact me to check the facts or contact anyone on the committee or even Espen. Oh, and they put Espen down as a doctor. And so I thought, oh gosh, the medical practices are going to be going bananas because everyone will be ringing up saying, I'd like to book in with the new doctor that's come. I saw him on the front page of the paper. Anyway, so we sent in a very terse email to the Glen Innes Examiner and said and they've issued a retraction, a correction, an apology. But I don't even know how they came to do that. It's just bizarre. But anyway, just another example of, the community not understanding.
Has anyone got any advice for Karen? Any suggestions?
I think whenever I deal with the media, I have a very clear media release that I write that has all the information on it, and there's a pretty standard template that we like to use that includes all of that stuff, so they can't make anything up. Everything from at the bottom, for more information about this, contact this, it's a part of this, it's funded through this. Sometimes they just like to make stuff up, but
yeah, well, this case they definitely did, because that's exactly what I did. It was a complete news article with all the information in, and they just put in their little stories and anyway.
And any suggestions about business development?
Yeah, I think that the thing is of and present to the community as this is who we are and this is what we do, and always repeating that, and this is how it's led, or this is who it's led by. It's run through the committee. It's maybe a feature on who the committee are, all the businesses, all that sort of stuff. We had a similar thing happen a number of years ago. We started a program, and even it was like 2015, I think we started this program. And the very first year, we received about $3,000 worth of funding from the council. And still to this day, people think it's a council-run program. It's not. It's got nothing to do with them. But in the very year, to give us a little bit of funding. It's just always saying that and making sure you have that same story that you repeat so people understand what it is and who you are.
Yeah. My thoughts are that if all the balls that are in the air come to land and we end up progressing to fee-for-service, that I'm going to be getting the administrator or whoever's responsible for that sort of promotion to be talking to all of you guys that are already doing fee-for-service, and getting your advice, because I think there's an awful lot in it.
Yeah, Karen, that's happening at the committee level. That's where we talk about that stuff. Kate's site is probably the most well advanced on this, and has a lot to share and I think the Mid-Coast is also a really good example of how they've progressively worked with public health. And given it's the same local health district as yours, they've had a good in allied health, but that helped them to work in other bits. And I just think there's some trust there that's been built over time. Would you agree, Kate? Yeah. But it's not been easy, has it? It's a world unto itself. And a lot of committee support with Kate on that one as well, because they're foreign-based public health, and except it's all Carly's world. She's nothing else but health. Carly, tell us about your greatest challenge at the moment.
Probably I am feeling a little bit overwhelmed at the moment. It's interesting. It's very much an ebb and flow with, I don't know if everyone else feels like this, but like you have this time where there's no one coming in and then everyone arrives at once. So I've got 12 new families for June, July, and they're all quite, so far, they're all quite not high maintenance, but they all have quite individual situations that have just required a bit more work than some of my early arrivals this year. So it's just trying to manage that sudden onslaught that I don't get any sort of heads up really about. You might be thinking, oh, June, July school holidays, we get 3 weeks. Oh, I've got to try and work out what am I going to do with the kids. And then suddenly you've got 5 new arrivals in the holidays and you're thinking, okay. So I find that very challenging, is the fact that it's very hard to plan ahead for things when you get these big volumes of people coming that you didn't really expect. I guess the longer I do this, the more I know June, July does seem to be a very busy time for people arriving. So I guess having that in your head and understanding that that's a busy time. But yes, that's probably at the moment. And look, to be honest, for my next contract, 30 hours a week will make it a lot easier. There's a lot more time then to be able to play with, as opposed to my 2 days a week, which just means, yes, a bit more.
And the other one we argued in is one that half a day or half a day a week should be a little bit on business development, but also to allow her to do the CRM stuff.
Yeah.
That if they want, because one of the things from exec was more impact, more measurements, will allow her to do that work.
Yeah.
So it was good timing that we can go, yeah, sure, we can do all of that, but you need to be able to support it to do that work, because that's the first thing that goes if you're not either getting admin support. So, hey, it might be time for you just to have someone in your pocket that can clean up after you as you're doing all the things. All right, thanks, Carly. Does anyone have anything about those surges? Because that's certainly Kate's world. I don't think it's so much yours, is it, Karen? You don't have those big surges.
Haven't up until basically at the start of this year. We had a surge because in the first 3 months I had about 12 people.
Yeah, Feb can often be another time.
Yeah. But other than that, no pattern really. Yeah.
Right. And Kate, have you got any advice for Carly on the surges? Although, go to book a room in Newcastle and
Take to a hotel, that would be fine. I feel the same, because like with all these people coming in, I've already done almost another 12 months now where I haven't really had a break a week where I haven't been working. And I was thinking that I was like, man, I was hoping to go overseas or to at least have some time. And there's no one. I need to ask if we can have like casual connector, because my actually even last week my son was in hospital for 3 days. He's a real bad asthmatic, so I spent 3 days in hospital, but like the night times, and then my husband went with him in the day, so I worked in the day, and I even had a meeting at the hospital, and I just like walked down from kids ward to my meeting, and I was like, what happens if my child was really sick for like a few weeks and I couldn't work? Like we have to have somebody that's like a backup.
So there's been a couple of ideas around this. Bim has got some ideas about her offering a service to make sure that she could just keep things running for you. So that's one option. It would be fee for service, and the other one is I encourage you all now to begin. Gail, you should be thinking that from the very beginning, but particularly Carly, because Karen, there's a whole thing around your sustainability plan that Margot's written that will improve your situation. But for Carly and Kate, I can't see any short-term solutions. So I think it is worth, Kate, you've got a very receptive committee. How can they help now? They a bit like the argument that I put forward for you're so valuable, they don't want to lose you. So how do we, you need to take leave. You need to be able to have sick kids. And so I think if that's an option and you're interested in it, let us know, put it in the chat. If that's for BIM offering a sort of admin service to make sure things keep running sufficiently and I also think you probably should be exploring training someone. Maybe it's admin person, maybe it's a little bit of admin, and that they can at least keep things running enough. But yeah, we know BIM is an example of every 12 months we were going through a community connector app in Shepparton. It is a very real thing. The lack of leave, it's all on, and it can fall over school holidays for all the parents, and it can be really difficult.
How does it, like, what other sites have applied for the welcome experience?
We have
Glen Innes,
and
I can't speak about the other one. I'm under confidentiality agreement.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully if we get the welcome experience,
That will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Carly, it is one that we probably now, while things are settling, that we talk about how to support you better. Even if it's you choosing to support yourself better. Remember, I've said to you, because you're all under contracts, you can subcontract.
Yeah.
Particularly, I think there's a part that only you can do, but there's some parts that others can do.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think about your own circumstances and what your ask is, but it's a really important one because the more you do this work, the more valuable you are to your communities and your clients. And I don't want to see you fall over, but it is a genuine risk. Yeah, particularly the Carly and Kate's reality at the moment is it's pretty intense, it's pretty constant, and a lot of overseas recruitment is just, as we all know, it's 3 times more work. So it's just one after another. And it's not magic. You can't just manifest housing, unfortunately. Wouldn't that be good if we could just dream it out? Okay, I've got a few minutes left. Any final comments? Perhaps we'll just go around and say just a couple of words on how you're feeling right now.
I'm going to jump off if that's all right, Kat.
Okay. Bye.
See, thank you.
Maybe we'll start with you, Gail, just how you're feeling right now.
Pretty good. A bit anxious about what's to come, but yeah, excited that hopefully we'll be able to get this future funding and have at least 2 community connected.
Yeah, and do you know when's the date for that?
Up against your issues. I don't actually know the date, but I'm pretty sure it was in June. 27th, it rings a bell before then.
Okay. All right. And Kate?
I am still feeling overwhelmed, but I'm feeling better about it. I think in another couple of weeks, I'll be feeling really good about it. It'll just be it's just a system. Yeah.
And you're getting the support you need from your community?
Yeah.
Asking it?
Yeah, Lev said, what do you need? I now have a bit like an office at the university campus, like I can go and work in there, so that's good. And I'm going there, and I think they're a bit concerned with the amount of printing that I'm doing, but I don't really care about that. Because I need to see everything visually in front of me. Oh, the good thing is we did create like this questionnaire, which we got all the families to fill out, which has just saved. It's been so good. Yeah, it's been really good.
Are you able to share that?
Yeah, it's just our website and then -- questionnaire. That's it.
Can you put that up in Facebook?
Yeah.
And Karen, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm gradually working through the CRM, and I've got about 2/3 of my clients loaded up and other businesses, and just plodding along.
Well done, because yours is the Bar Shepherd, and it's the longest running site.
It's good.
Okay, and this sort of process of doing more deep diving, is this thumbs up, or do you want more of this? Karen, can you put on?
Thumbs up for me.
All right, so we can share information more through Facebook and that way. and do a bit more of this sort of drilling down, because I think you get to know each other better this way. And then I think you share lots of challenges, but it's also good for me or them to be able to speak more here. You're most similar in this manner. So good luck, New South Wales, with your wealth experience. It shouldn't be long now. And good luck, Gail. Everyone's waiting on funding, which all impacts me. So we're all, it's either kind of none of it or it'll be all of it. And yeah, game on.
What do you think? Well, until we know.
I don't know. Government, they say things, and I often look at the timelines and go, oh, it's so aspirational.
We emailed them, I think, at the end of last week, because we've got another grant to put in and we've got to change the wording depending on whether we get the welcome experience or not. My committee asked them and they said, yep, still happening. Sorry about the change in the timeline.
Very okay. And we know that they've looked at them, because I certainly had a phone call about that. So they've been read. That's a good start. Just, yeah, it's government. Yeah, the chances of this contracts being signed and it being implemented by the 1st of July, I always looked at it and just went, really?
Yeah, it was quite a quick turnaround for what they wanted.
Particularly if you're a site that hasn't started. You guys, sure.
Yeah.
The rest, really?
I
don't think so. We'll see. Anyway, best of luck with it. Thanks. Nice to catch up with you all.
Thank you.
See you all soon.